He stopped sending me good morning texts, but he never missed hers. "It's just work talk," he claimed, but work didn't end at midnight. One night, while he slept, I sent her a message. "Do you think my wife suspects?" Her response came fast. "No, she seems oblivious." I smirked and replied, "Guess again." The next morning, I served him breakfast with a side of screenshots. He turned pale, and suddenly, he had nothing to say. I never imagined I'd be sharing this, but here I am. My name's Sarah, and this is the story of how I uncovered my husband's betrayal. James and I had been married for 12 years. We met during our junior year at the University of Washington in Seattle. He was studying computer science, and I was pursuing literature. Our connection was immediate. After graduation, we settled in a cozy neighborhood in Seattle, close to Green Lake. James secured a position as a software engineer at a prominent tech company, while I fulfilled my dream of opening a small bookstore near the University District. Our life was busy but fulfilling. Mornings were a whirlwind of activity, preparing breakfast, packing lunches, and getting our 2 children, Emma and Lucas, ready for school. James would head to his office downtown, and I'd open the bookstore. Evenings were reserved for family dinners, homework, and bedtime stories. It wasn't a glamorous life, but it was ours, and I cherished every moment. Looking back, the signs were there, subtle but present. James began working late more frequently, often citing tight deadlines or last-minute projects. He became increasingly attached to his phone, guarding it in a way he hadn't before. Our conversations grew shorter, and the warmth that once defined our relationship began to fade. The most noticeable change was the absence of his morning texts. James had a habit of sending me a "good morning, beautiful" text every day, a small gesture that always made me smile. But those messages became infrequent and then stopped altogether. When I mentioned it, he brushed it off, saying he was just busy or stressed. I wanted to believe him, so I did. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I noticed James had fallen asleep on the couch, his phone resting on his chest. A message notification popped up, and curiosity got the better of me. I glanced at the screen and saw a message from a contact named Rebecca. "Do you think my wife suspects anything?" My heart pounded. I knew it was wrong to invade his privacy, but I couldn't stop myself. I carefully took the phone and scrolled through their conversation. What I found shattered me. The messages were intimate, filled with affection and plans to meet. They spoke about their feelings, their connection, and, most painfully, about me. Rebecca had asked if I was aware of their affair, and James had assured her that I was oblivious. I didn't sleep that night. My mind raced with emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal. By morning, I knew I had to confront him. I gathered the evidence, taking screenshots and printing them out. I needed him to see that I knew everything. At breakfast, I placed the papers in front of him. "Care to explain this?" I asked, my voice trembling. James looked down, and the color drained from his face. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. The man I had trusted with my heart and my life had nothing to say. The days that followed were a blur. James moved out to give me space, and we began the painful process of separating our lives. Telling the children was the hardest part. Emma was old enough to sense something was wrong, and Lucas couldn't understand why Daddy wasn't coming home. I leaned heavily on my friends and family for support. My sister, Rachel, flew in from San Francisco to be with me. She reminded me of my strength and encouraged me to seek therapy, which became a crucial part of my healing process. Months passed, and slowly, I began to find myself again. I focused on the bookstore, pouring my energy into creating a welcoming space for the community. I started attending yoga classes, something I had always wanted to do but never found the time for. Most importantly, I reconnected with my children, ensuring they felt loved and secure despite the changes in our family. One evening, as I was closing up the store, a familiar face walked in. It was Daniel, an old friend from college who had recently moved back to Seattle. We caught up over coffee, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of hope. Looking back, I realized that James's betrayal, while devastating, led me to rediscover myself. I learned to listen to my intuition, to recognize my worth, and to understand that sometimes the end of one chapter is the beginning of another. To anyone going through a similar experience, know this: the pain feels insurmountable, but with time, support, and self-care, you will emerge stronger. Trust yourself, lean on those who love you, and remember that your story isn't over. It's just taking a new direction. A week after James moved out, things got weird. I was at the bookstore late one evening, restocking shelves, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. The message just said, "He's lying to both of you." My stomach dropped. I stared at the message for a long minute. I didn't know what to do with it. I hadn't told many people about what happened, just a few close friends and my sister. I hadn't posted anything online. And I sure as hell hadn't talked to anyone connected to Rebecca. I replied, "Who is this?" No answer. The next day, I brought it up to Rachel. She's blunt, no nonsense. You should reply again. Push for more. People don't send messages like that without a reason. So I did. What do you mean he's lying? Who are you? This time, the reply came quick. You think she's the only one? I sat down on the floor behind the counter. My hands were shaking. Was this someone messing with me? Or was there more? That night, after the kids were asleep, I did something I hadn't done yet. I went through everything. Every email, every text backup, every random message I could find on the shared iPad the kids sometimes used. James had never been great with clearing history. In his Google account, I found what I wasn't supposed to: a second email address. Almost identical to his main one, but with a small variation. I clicked into it. Different inbox. Different profile picture. And hundreds of messages. Some were to Rebecca. But there were others. 3 other women. None of them were me. None of them were her. One name stood out: Gina. I scrolled through. The messages weren't just flirty. They were deep. He was telling her he loved her. Telling her he couldn't wait to start a life with her. There were plane tickets. Hotel bookings. Even gifts. He'd been sending her money. I didn't even feel heartbroken anymore. I felt sick. This wasn't one affair. This was a whole damn operation. I had no idea who the man I married even was. I texted the number again. How many are there? The reply came, "For I know of." Maybe more. I'm one of them. I stared at that message for a long time. My whole body was numb. I finally replied, "Why tell me?" Her answer changed everything, because I didn't know either. Until he slipped up. Until I found your number. And now, I think I might be pregnant. It got worse from there. James didn't deny it. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to lie. He just sat down on the edge of the couch in my living room, because yes, the idiot had come over to pick up some of his stuff. And looked at the floor like a kid caught stealing candy. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he said. I laughed. Actually laughed. "You didn't mean for what to go this far, James? The emotional cheating? The money you spent behind my back? The multiple women? The kid you might have on the way?" He looked up, pale, shaking. I was lost. I didn't feel seen. "You didn't feel seen, so you went and built yourself a harem, James?" That shut him up. I gave him the box of his crap and told him not to come back until I'd decided what to do next. He didn't argue. I reached back out to the mystery woman. Her name was Eliza. She lived in Portland. She met James at a conference 2 years ago. He told her he was divorced. She never thought to check. She thought he was working on rebuilding himself. She said he told her his kids lived with his ex-wife. And now, she had a positive pregnancy test in her trash can. That's where I'm at. I haven't told the kids yet. They know Daddy's not coming home, but they don't know why. I haven't told his parents, though I probably should. I haven't even told my lawyer yet that we might be dealing with something way messier than just a divorce. The bookstore's still running, but barely. I show up every day because I need something to feel normal. I still get up every morning and make the kids breakfast. I still pretend like everything's okay. But inside, I'm planning. Watching. Waiting. I told Eliza she's not alone. I even asked if she wanted to meet. She said yes. I think I'm ready to blow this whole thing wide open. A week after Eliza and I spoke, we agreed to meet. She drove up from Portland on a Saturday afternoon. I didn't know what I expected. Maybe someone fragile, overwhelmed. But she walked into the bookstore like she'd just finished a marathon, tired but on fire inside. She looked me in the eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "He lied about everything. He told me he was sterile." I nearly dropped my coffee. He said what? She nodded. Yeah. When I told him I might be pregnant, he laughed. Told me it must be someone else's. I stared at her, unsure whether to scream or cry. So what did you do? I took a paternity test, she said. Behind his back. He doesn't know yet. I leaned in. Is it his? She didn't say anything. Just nodded slowly. My stomach twisted again. It was really happening. This wasn't just some dramatic affair story anymore. This was a baby. A human life. I didn't want to feel anything for her, but I did. I felt protective. Not of James, not of the chaos, but of this woman who had also been dragged through the mud by the same man I used to share a bed with. And then she said, "Sarah, I'm not the only one with a baby." What do you mean? She pulled out her phone and opened a file of screenshots. They were from another woman. Another affair. Her name was Natalia. She lived in Spokane. She had a 6-month-old baby. And she was positive James was the father. Because he was there for the birth. Yeah, you read that right. While I was home with our kids, thinking James was on a business trip, he was in a hospital in another state holding another woman's baby. Eliza had done her homework. She tracked Natalia down through Facebook posts, weird comments under James's photos, and a Venmo transaction where he'd sent Natalia money with the caption, "For diapers." I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. But it all added up. The late nights, the out-of-town conferences, the credit card charges that didn't match his receipts. He had built entire lives with these women. He wasn't just cheating. He was playing house in multiple cities. He was a damn con artist. I texted him that night. We need to talk. Urgently. He called me right away, like he always did when he knew he was cornered. There's something I need to tell you, I started. My voice was cold. No, I need to tell you something, he cut in. Sarah, I lost my job. I blinked. Excuse me? I was fired. 3 weeks ago. I didn't know how to tell you. Things are falling apart. I've been under investigation for using company funds for personal expenses. I swear the room started spinning. You're telling me you used work money to pay for your mistresses? He didn't answer, which meant yes. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. I sat down, shaking. I had married a man who wasn't just unfaithful. He was reckless, dishonest, possibly criminal. I asked him directly, "How many women are there, James?" He whispered, "I don't know." "I don't know." I hung up. The next day, Eliza and I called Natalia. She'd been waiting for that call. "I've been scared to speak out," she said. "He told me he'd ruin me. That he'd take the baby." We told her, "You're not alone." And that's when she said the thing that really turned my world inside out. "Did he ever tell you about the apartment in Capitol Hill?" "What apartment?" "He told me he had to keep a place in Seattle for work. A small studio. He said he stayed there when things got tense with his ex-wife, you, so he wouldn't upset the kids." My blood went cold. James had another place. Right in the same city. I found the address. I didn't tell him I knew. I took Rachel with me and drove over that night. It was a tiny unit in an older brick building just off Pine Street. Quiet, unassuming. We knocked. No one answered. I looked in the mailbox. There were letters addressed to James L., but also to Maya. I looked at Rachel. She whispered, "You think she's another one?" I didn't respond. I didn't have to. We waited in the car for an hour. And just before 9 p.m., a woman walked up the steps and unlocked the door. Mid-30s. Tall. Black coat. Holding a key with his car key on the ring. Rachel grabbed my hand. That's her. I wasn't even shocked anymore. Just numb. He had been living a full-on double life within walking distance of our home. While I made dinner for our kids, he was playing boyfriend to someone else. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I was exhausted. But I'm going to talk to her. To Maya. To Natalia. To anyone else he lied to. This story isn't over. He thinks he's gotten away with it because he's good at lying. But I'm better at truth. And I'm done staying quiet. I waited until I had them all. Eliza, Natalia, Maya. Each woman had her own version of the same nightmare. James had fed them lies, built dreams on top of sand, and walked in and out of their lives like none of it mattered. But it did. It mattered a lot. To all of us. I invited them all to my bookstore one Sunday morning. The store was closed. The windows were covered. I had coffee brewing. None of us smiled. This wasn't a sisterhood. This was a war council. We all agreed. It was time he knew we knew. Not one by one. Not through text. Not in whispers. We would say it to his face. Eliza invited him over. Said she needed to talk, urgently. That she was scared, alone, and thinking about getting rid of it if he didn't step up. He took the bait. Of course he did. James was always ready to be the hero in a crisis he created. He showed up at the bookstore at 11 a.m. sharp. His usual confident smirk on his face, car keys swinging from his fingers. He didn't even notice we were all waiting. When he saw us, he froze. I stood by the register. Natalia sat on the couch near the window. Maya stood near the back, arms crossed. Eliza was at the center. James took a step back, like he'd walked into the wrong room. "What is this?" he said, voice already cracking. Eliza was the first to speak. "James, you need to sit down." He didn't move. I said sit down. He did. Silence hung in the air. You could feel the weight of it. "You lied to all of us," I said. "But what's worse? You didn't even bother to keep track of the lies." Natalia stepped forward. "You said you were a widower." Maya followed. "You told me she was abusive. That she hit you." Eliza added, "You told me she trapped you with kids." James started shaking his head. "You don't understand. It wasn't like that." "Shut up," I snapped. "We're not here to listen to your excuses. We're here to tell you." And we did. One by one, each woman laid out what he told her. The timelines. The places he visited. The promises he made. The money he spent. The names he used. How he blended in like a damn chameleon. He looked like a man unraveling thread by thread. When Eliza finally pulled out the DNA results proving he was the father of her unborn child, and possibly Natalia's too, he broke. He stood up and screamed. "I was trying to find happiness. I wasn't getting it at home. You don't know what it's like to feel empty." Maya snapped back. "So your solution was to fill the hole with 4 women and 2 kids you pretended didn't exist?" He turned to me. "Sarah, please. We had a life. You and me. You know that wasn't fake." I just looked at him. "No," I said. "It wasn't fake. But you were." He fell to his knees right there. Started crying. Not quiet, sad crying. Loud, ugly sobbing. None of us comforted him. Natalia looked away. Eliza crossed her arms. Maya whispered under her breath, "You're lucky we didn't record this and put it online." I walked past him, out the front door. I needed air. Rachel was waiting outside. She raised an eyebrow. "How'd it go?" I sighed. "It's done." That night, James tried to call me. I didn't pick up. He texted, long walls of apology, claims of mental illness, of needing help. I read them. I didn't respond. He packed up his stuff from the apartment in Capitol Hill. Left town a week later. I heard through the grapevine he was staying with a cousin in Arizona, trying to get clean, whatever that meant. The bookstore slowly came back to life. Customers returned. My kids were okay. They missed their dad, but I kept it simple. He made mistakes, and he's going to be away for a while. When they're older, I'll tell them the truth. Eliza kept the baby. She asked if I wanted to be part of their lives. I said yes. Weird as it sounds, I want that child to know it came from something painful, but survived it. Natalia filed for child support. Maya started therapy. Me? I'm still angry. Still hurt. But I'm not broken. Not anymore. I learned that silence protects no one. That truth, ugly, raw truth, is the only way forward. And that healing isn't clean. It's jagged, uneven. Some days I still cry, but most days I'm okay. Maybe that's the best I can hope for right now. Maybe okay is enough.